Yep.
Hello and welcome back to the Wheel Talk podcast. My name is Abby Mickey and I'm here with friends to talk about women's professional road cycling. Holy cow, what a race we have to talk about today. We can't wait to get into it. There's some other news floating around the women's peloton that we're going to talk about. Red Bull, a lot to discuss today. With me, the whole team, Gracie Elvin.
Hey, good to be here as always. This is one of my highlights of every week.
Loren Rowney.
G'day. As always, promised. I think someone on Discord said they were waiting for the g'day. Happy to be here.
And Georgie Howe.
Hello, and as always, I've dressed to impress. So now that we're on video, you're all very welcome.
Yes, this is our first episode for YouTube. So actually, it's great for people who ride Zwift. Like if you're riding Zwift, you can watch the podcast on YouTube. We are going to have to try to tamper our facial expressions because, you know, up until this point, we've made content for a specific medium that does not involve our faces, but no longer.
No chance, Abby.
We're adapting.
I forgot that I was being videoed when I was commentating. Not that I did anything wrong, but then they posted it and it seemed to go viral because of the specific moment of the race. And yeah, I'm just like, oh, gotta remember that when I'm commentating, I'm getting videoed too now because we have a nice new setup in the studio.
Why is that a bad thing? I think that's part of the fun, right? Like when you're commentating to see like people's reactions.
I think it's good. Yeah, it's good that I think it's a shame that we haven't had it for a while. So definitely good, but I just have to probably be mindful.
Well, not so much not on this podcast though. Like our faces are allowed to have subtitles here. We're in a safe space amongst friends.
I'm very curious how many people will actually watch the podcast on YouTube. Like I think it's an interesting experiment.
Yeah, we should do a poll on Instagram.
Who actually wants to watch?
Are you into YouTubing?
Abby made a very good point. When I do sit on Zwift, I consume a lot of podcasts. Then I like to watch the people speaking, and not all podcasts do it, but then I'll choose a podcast that I regularly listen to that I know does the video as well. So I've gotten more into it. But normally, like, you know, when you're going around the house doing whatever else, chores, cooking, walking the kids to school, you're just listening in your ear. But it's a different experience to watch the people. I'm
definitely I like to watch YouTube like podcasts. What?
I'm just thinking of the offline chat about fashion fans.
You making fun of my outfit again?
No.
Lauren, you have something to say. I feel it. I feel it in my bones.
I'm sure that there's a couple people that are going to be happy to see this on YouTube. And we have had requests in the past, but yeah, we're modernizing. It's a thing. I did watch the Taylor Swift, Kelsey Brothers podcast a couple times. So I know that, you know, it can be beneficial to watch on. And we have a really great editor who's going to slap pictures on the video, make it more fun.
It'll be interactive and entertaining and fun.
Exactly.
Slap it on. That is a technical term. That's what they say. That's the jargon from the industry.
Without further ado, let's talk about Strade Bianche, because we talked about how exciting this race normally is last week, and I think we all decided that it was one of our favorite races of the spring. But I don't think even us could have anticipated the race that we got on Saturday. It was by far one of the best bike races I've ever seen in my life. Even if there hadn't been the moto mishap with 33 kilometers to go, it still was just an incredible race. It started really, really fast. There was a lot of attacks in the beginning, but because the race cut out 17 kilometers worth of gravel roads, it was a bigger group going into a couple of the sectors earlier on in the race. That meant that there was a huge crash in the beginning that kind of took Kim LaCourte, was probably the biggest name, put her on the back foot when all the action happened later on in the race. When the live coverage started about halfway through, it was only about 30 riders left at the head of the race. And from there, the chaos just continued. There was mechanicals for top riders like Pauline Ferrand-Prévot and Demi Vollering. And then the group that they were with that was chasing the main contenders up the road, the real like game makers of the race, was led astray by a moto. Then there were attacks. Elisa Chabbey, Elisa Borghini were off the front. There was really too close to the finish for most people's liking. There was a breakaway with Kasia Niewiadoma-Phinney, Elisa Borghini and Pug Pieterse that was up the road. They were brought back by the duo of FDJ United-Suez, Franzi Koch and Elisa Chabbey. And then it was a huge group going into the final kilometer. The biggest group we've seen since, I think it was 2022, when we had a group of 12 go into the final kilometer together. But when that group of 12 hit the last like 600 meters, it just exploded. And that was the year that, was it the year that Kopecky beat Annemiek van Vleuten going into that corner? There was like, yeah, that was such a good finish. And I think there are parallels to how this race finished as well, especially with those final corners. But into the last 600 meters, up that final steep climb into Piazza del Campo, there was really most of the riders that we expected to show on the day: Kasia, Elisa Borghini, and a couple that we maybe didn't think were going to be in the spotlight. Chabbey, Franzi Koch. I thought Magdalene Valliere would have a really good race, and I would expect EF Education Notley to put more leadership on her as the world champ, and I think we'll talk about her for sure. But going into the finale, it was really 4 riders fighting for the win, which is the biggest group we've ever seen come to the line together at Strade. Normally, by the time they're on that final uphill, the race has blown to pieces and it's 1s and 2s, but it was a big group, which meant that going into those final corners, a big 4, it was 4, going into those final corners, it was very like my least favorite word of all time, unprecedented. Like they just, how to handle those corners with multiple riders around you. Nobody in that group would have known like how to manage that situation, because it's never happened before. And the end result was Franzi Koch trying to squeeze around the outside of Kasia and Elisa, them all losing momentum. Elisa Chabbey taking the inside line and taking the win, which it's such an incredible win for Elisa Chabbey. I think there's like so much we can say about FDJ United-Suez, the day that they had, the signings that they've made, how much the team has built up over the last couple of years, and how it all seems to be coming together. There's also a ton that can be said about Kasia, about Elisa, about what this race means to the two of them specifically. Overall, it was just such an incredible race. Like one of those races that gets you fired up for the entire year of racing. If there was any like lull going into the season, Strade cured it. It was so good.
It was one of those races that, like, you know, the classic metaphor of like, and they threw another punch and they threw another punch. It was like a classic boxing match kind of race, which was, I can't remember the last time we had a race like that.
Yep. I liked your preview as well, Abby. The first couple of lines, you said something about if Omloop was the entree, then Strade is the main course. And like, you were so right on that. It was like Primi and Secondi. It was like, oh, so meaty. It was just everything we could have wanted, a few things that we couldn't have expected necessarily. But if Omloop kind of set the tone in some ways, maybe halfway there, then this race kind of really set the tone for lots of teams, if not all teams, the top teams at least, for the season, because we were left with a few question marks from opening weekend. And I think pretty much all of them were answered, weren't they, here at this race?
Yeah, I guess the team that was the most noticeable absence from that front group, and a lot of things did happen on Saturday, was SD Worx Pro Time, which it's so unusual. Like I know things have changed a lot, but we were saying, and I was saying last weekend, like that they still have that super strong classics team, and they're going to have their day, and we're going to see them at their usual strengths. And then I was re-watching the finish again today, and it was just like, all those riders you would expect to be there, but it felt strange not to have the presence of that team there, or not really felt.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they were the ones going into the week that we were like, okay, they had bad luck at Omloop with Kopecky, and it's possible that the legs are still there. But after Strade, like, there's no hiding for them anymore. They are on the back foot, fully on the back foot. And you'd think that they need to reassess and figure out how they're going to take on the rest of the spring, because you can't gain fitness at this point. It's like you're actually a lot of times losing fitness during the spring classics because it's a lot of travel, a lot of back and forth. Most riders who do all the classics, and SD Worx Pro Time is one of those teams that doesn't really take time away to go to altitude. Like we heard Chabbey saying after the race, and Demi, that their whole team that is going to focus, the team that's around Demi, the team is going to focus on the Giro and focus on the Tour. They're all going to altitude now. They're at altitude as we record this podcast. They're not going to do Binda. They're not going to do Milan San Remo. They have specific goals, but SD Worx Pro Time isn't like that. They like to send their riders to all the races and then like reassess when the spring is over. But I don't think that's an option for them now. That's not how the top riders are doing it anymore. And clearly they are lacking the fitness to be able to compete at this point. The only rider who isn't lacking the fitness to be able to compete is Wiebes. So they're going to have to really surround her and put everything into her, which, she's a winner. She is unbeaten in a sprint since the 2024 Tour de France Femme. And so that's a really good basket to put your eggs into. But you can't have only one option, especially when there's hillier classics where Wiebes, as incredible as she is, she still can't compete at something like Flanders unless the race goes the way it did in 2017, the year that Corinne Lebecki, but that was a completely different course. So it's not something that you can replicate again in the year 2026, if I was SD Worx Pro Time management, I would be panicking right now, because not only is Kopecky not riding as they would have expected, Van de Breggen is way off the back now, especially like if you're thinking in terms of the whole season, that there's only so much fitness you can gain before the Tour, it's like scramble mode at this point. But there are other riders who I would have expected to be another level up this year, like Misha Bredewald, also weren't there. So there's so many missing parts to SD Worx Pro Time this year.
I think that SD Worx has had a very long time at the top, and like it's a classic case of complacency. They lost Demi, and then they had this bravado attitude of like, oh, we don't need her. And to a certain extent, they proved that. Like there was some impressive races they did last year, and they've always got Wiebes to fall back on. However, I think the arrogance over the past couple of years has shown out, and they've really been caught out here. I don't think that they've looked outside of their own circle. I don't think management has looked outside of their own circle to see what others are doing and actually learn and have the humility to learn from what other teams are doing. I think that's what, for instance, AG Insurance Sudal, I think they do that incredibly. Did I get those sponsors right? It's the start of the season, so apologies if I didn't. But I think that they're a team that does have the humility to look around and be curious of what other teams are doing and actually learn and talk. But we've been around SD Worx as journalists. We've been around them we've been around them as riders, and they are very insular. They keep themselves to themselves. They're always the last bus to arrive at the paddock, and they're the first to leave. So I think this approach of like holier than now when it comes to bike racing has really come to bite them in the ass.
They're also really old school. Like they're super old school in the way that they do things internally and the way that they treat riders, the way that they work as a team and the way that they race, and that is the way that they race is outdated now, and other teams have figured out other ways to win, and SC Works Pro Time can't adapt to the way that teams are winning now.
No, because they don't have, well, they can't adapt because they don't have the like internal flexibility within their ego to actually be like, oh, maybe we should try things a bit differently.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they adapt. If they want to adapt, they're going to have to, really. I do agree with pretty much all of that. Just to play devil's advocate, though, like their top two of their top riders, Kopecky and Van der Breggen, are just off to a slow start. And whether that's planned or not, that we won't really know that. Even if they say that, it could also just be covering it up. So maybe it's the plan, maybe it's not. So like we said a couple weeks ago, you have to expect that, or last week I think, you have to expect that the Tour is their number one goal for stage wins and for GC. And they haven't nailed that for a while now, except for with Wiebes. So I think that's kind of like the pinnacle for the season, and that's a ways off. But of course, we've known that team to be greedy, for lack of a better word, too. So it's surprising that they're not firing at this point of the season, because they usually are such a strong classics team as well. They're strong in every race. So yeah, I'm interested to see the progression and if this is the plan for them, if it's going to pay off.
And the flip side of that, the new dominant team, and who we're going to talk a lot about today, is FDJ Suez United.
Yeah. FDJ United-Suez. Yeah, they had, I mean, easily the best day of racing that a team could possibly have. They went into the race with Vollering being their basically standalone leader. You had Elisa Chabbey doing a ton of work trying to force a breakaway earlier on in the race, which is like her preferred location off the front. You had the other riders on the team doing a ton of work in the beginning to make the race really hard. And I talked to one of the riders in the race who said that when the crash happened and when the pace really upped early on before the coverage started, it was FDJ Suez on the front, just really driving the pace of the peloton and making it really fast so that other names couldn't attack. And so they did a ton of work early on for Vollering, and it would have been so easy for them to cave when Vollering had the mechanical and was off the back. But instead of panicking, which is something that a younger team, and like FDJ United-Suez is kind of a younger team. Like there's a lot of experience in the team, but in terms of being, and the team itself has a lot of experience in racing, but in terms of being at the very top of the sport, being the team that everyone looks at, they are brand new to this. They've never been in that position before. They have always been underdogs in a way. And the way that they pivoted when Vollering was off the back, and especially when the moto took Vollering from 1 minute behind to 3 minutes behind, when there was no way that she was going to get back into the race, the way that Franzi and Elise pivoted and took the race in both hands, and both of them were just incredible. I mean, there's very little opportunity to talk to each other at that point in the race and talk about what you're going to do without your star rider, without your leader. They didn't even need to talk to each other. It was like they had one brain, which is exactly what we saw them do at Omloop as well when Franzi got to the front. And my God, is she the signing of the year already? 2 races in, like unbelievable race for her. She was on our radar before when she was on Picnic Post and L, but this year is like, who is this person? Where did she come from? Unreal performance to take third at Strade and take 1-3 on the podium after the day that they had. Like, they had Elisa on the attack with Elisa Longo Borghini. I was like, oh, that's gone. Like, for sure that'll stick. The only time that they were on the back foot really was when Longo Borghini, Kasia, and Puck were up the road. They had the benefit of Kasia being so cautious of being off the front with Elisa, that they were able to pull that back. Like that trio didn't work well together at all. And so they were on the back foot, but they didn't need to panic in that moment because there was no way that those three were going to work well together to get up the road. And I mean, the move by both of them at the end, there wasn't teamwork going on in those final corners. They both thought they could win. Like Franzi went into that corner thinking, I'm going to get ahead of these two. Whoever comes out of the last corner first wins the race. There's no more room to come around. Franzi went for it. Elise saw the opening, and it was like they weren't working together, but just the awareness of each other. Like I get goosebumps. I have goosebumps.
I think, yeah, we need to talk about these two riders a lot, but it's a combination of things. We often think of Francie Koch's time at Picnic Post NL as the ultra domestique and someone who's super talented, but not seeing her as someone who can do what she did on Saturday. And I think with those two riders going across to FDJ United-Suez, that performance team knows what they're capable of. And you can see that just having that self-belief, to your point, Abby, like the amount of work and effort both those riders put in on that stage in that race, and then still to be able to be there at the pointy end going for the win was incredible, because I think everyone thought coming in to that last 3-4 kilometers when Koch was on the front just driving it, keeping it at a nice fast pace to ensure no attacks went, completely backing Chabbey's ability to finish it off in a finish like that. You thought, okay, she's gonna blow and not be there, but no. After Valerius pulled off, then it was like Koch again who was driving it, and then still able to hang with Kasia and Elisa, and then of course Elise Chabbey came up. It was just like, for me, really an aha moment. Oh my God, like how are these two still there? But it's just this simple case of, as commentators and fans, maybe a slight underestimation of their capacity, just because they were pigeonholed in these other roles. So good on the team to see their potential as winners themselves. And, you know, for Demi not to be in the race as well, it just gave them that extra opportunity.
I mean, FDJ United, sorry, Gracie. FDJ United-Suez has been chasing Chabbey for years. They've wanted her on the team for years. So Stefan Delcourt, like, he's seen her potential long before he finally convinced her to join the team. And I think with Franzi, it's a similar situation where she was a lot of the time working for other riders, and I think he could see just how strong she was. And anyone who's watching this on YouTube, it's the dogs.
I'm sorry. Sorry. I got a dog, everyone. And she's right here. She's having a sniff.
Is she on the table? Oh no, it's on my bed.
Sorry, Gracie. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay. Yeah, no. Like, I agree. Like, obviously they're both big talents, and somebody saw that. A few people saw that. But I think that their performance also tells us a lot about pressure and motivation, in that they didn't actually feel a huge amount of pressure in the way that some of those top riders might. You could see how tightly Elisa and Kasia were holding on to their pressure that day. They both rode really well. They didn't make that many mistakes each. Like, they were having a great day too, but you could see that they were just not desperate, but just holding on a little bit tighter to the race than Francie and Elise were. And I liked in Elisa's post-race interview, she was like, I wanted to give up a couple of times, but I kept thinking, you know, Demi didn't have the day we were expecting. We did all that work in the race. Like, I wanted to just make sure that we, you know, did our best. Like, I'm paraphrasing, but she was just trying to say, like, I didn't want to waste all of the work that we'd done. And I think that just shows us, like, those two riders, they didn't feel that same pressure, but they were still really motivated because of good team culture, because of an opportunity that had presented itself. And yes, they had to be talented enough and in form to pull that off, and they had to work well together. But they still had to rise to the occasion, and being an opportunist is actually one of the most difficult roles in cycling, because it's really hard to get a result that wasn't that well planned for. And to do that is actually quite remarkable for lots of reasons. So I think to just highlight that is really important, and good to show like what it means to be adaptable, what it means to take on responsibility, take on pressure, but also use some of those moments as fuel in your motivation, and to see what next level you can actually push. Because Chabbey looked quite surprised at the end, not like that she couldn't believe it, but still a little bit like, wow, I did that. It wasn't a disbelief, but it was like almost like a validation that she was having in that moment, and that was really special to see that.
I mean, I think it's interesting to see like where the team goes from here, because obviously Vollering is still their standout rider. But I wrote a piece early last year when they'd made all their big signings before the racing really started about that they would have a leadership problem between Vollering, Avita Music, and Juliette Labousse. And now they have an even bigger leadership problem because Elise Chabbey just won Strade Bianche. And she came to the team because she wanted to win more races, and she was tired of the way that Canyon SRAM, Zonda Crypto were always backing the same rider. She's not going to want to be in the same position on FDJ United-Suez as she was on Canyon SRAM, Zonda Crypto, and now she has a Strade to back her up. Yeah. Plus, you have Franzi, who's like, what the heck can she do next? Only good things. Like,
but would you call it? I wouldn't. Is it our own expectation of what cycling leadership looks like to say that this is a leadership problem, or is this what women's cycling now could look like? In the sense that a team culture is that good that it is the collective above the individual, like actually the collective above the individual.
But that's how SD Worx used to function. When it was Bulls Dolmens, they had the entire team could win almost every race that they went into, and they managed to pull it off to the point where there was one spring where they won almost every single one-day race with different riders. But that's just, it obviously didn't last for them. They had riders leave, they had riders want more. So I think
it environment too, like they had a stacked team compared to other teams. So yes, in some ways, but no now, I think. Like, yeah. I think though that to be positive about this, even though we are being positive, I think Elisa's win has done more for their team culture and morale than if they had Demi win that same day.
Yes, correct, 100%. Like this is where SD Worx does fall apart. Like the modern version of SD Worx does fall apart, because I don't think they'd be able to stand up if a non-leader was to win a race like Strade Bianche.
Yeah, we tended to see a little bit more sour grape sometimes if it was a more of a surprise win from the winning team.
Was it Strade where it was Strade where Demi and Lotte had that
sprinting with each other.
Yeah.
Which was really the beginning of the end of Demi. Yeah, Demi and SD.
And Demi's reaction for this one was completely different to 2 years ago when that happened. So like that tells us a lot about where her head's at in FDJ as well. And I think for every rider in that team, they go, that was awesome. Maybe I could do that. And wow, Demi was really stoked. So that's good too. And I think just like there was a few things going on that are only going to lead to more wins for that team.
Agree. Culture. The culture within the team.
Very important.
It really is that magic glue, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, Matt Denifa wrote a piece that should be out this week about trust in women's cycling and how important trusting your teammates is for overall success. Because it is really like, it's huge from trusting the wheel, trusting that they're going to get you where you need to go in the peloton, trusting that they have your back, trusting that they can win. There's so many different forms of trust. And I think in women's cycling especially, it's such a high stakes sport. You're moving very fast along rough surface. And there's a lot at stake now in women's cycling with, where we are in the sport. And so I'm looking forward to everyone being able to read that piece, because Matt is actually, I don't think I have told the wider world. No. Yeah. Breaking news. If you haven't noticed, Escape Collective is really upping our coverage of women's professional cycling. If you've seen the site in the last week, I'm very proud that 8 of the top of the 15 stories on the homepage are about women. And a lot of that is due to the fact that Matt Denif has moved over from a more of an editorial role to being full-time on the women's beat. So I'm super excited to have a buddy in covering the women's stuff, and especially for it to be Matt. Anyone who's followed our Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift coverage knows just how amazing he is. And he is one of those men written by a woman, and so I'm just thrilled that
That's thrilled that he's to describe him.
He's one of my favorites.
We love him, and he's going to be great for that role.
Very exciting. Also, in the kind of conversation about FDJ United-Suez is the rumor / kind of news that Red Bull is interested in sponsoring a women's team, and they want to sponsor FDJ United-Suez, which would mean that this super team that is already at the top, like 2 months into the season, would have even more funding. And we know that Vollering is on a contract here this year, so you'd think a good portion of that is keeping Vollering on the team, although I don't know why she would ever leave, or what team would be able to accommodate her in a way that FDJ United-Suez has.
I mean, she would be silly to leave. I'm sorry.
She would be, 100%.
Like, again, to the point we were discussing about her reaction on Saturday, for me, it was really joyful to see that, this different side of Vollering. And, everyone has a different opinion of her, but I think she was truly genuine in that moment. And it seems like she's comfortable on that team, and that's what you need as a rider. So if you find a good place to be, there's no need every 2 years when your contract comes up for renewal to leave. Like, if you believe in the project, I think that's what needs to happen more. Don't chase more money somewhere else. Because it's no guarantee that when you move teams just for an extra 100,000, couple of 100,000 here or there, that it's the smart move to make. So are they going to become the super team? It's certainly looking that way. Good?
But that's a label that we've dubbed on this podcast. We've dubbed a few teams now this season. So UAE, FDJ Suez, United-Suez.
I mean, UAE looked like they were the strongest team on the day for a minute there. That's true.
Yeah. Dominica, honestly.
And they have a brilliant team. I think they are also a super team. But it's very much where the money is coming from too. So I think for UAE, they're pretty set with their links to UAE. So it just makes sense for Stefan Delcourt. I had a conversation with him at Omloop about it, and he's also looking to diversify and to try and figure out how to bring in other brands outside of cycling. So I mean, Red Bull covers a multitude of different sports, and for me, this seems like a logical step for them if they're going to sponsor a women's team to go to this team.
My first reaction was maybe it's not a good thing that Red Bull already sponsors a team that's doing well, because there's plenty of teams that are struggling to keep up with the minimum salaries, the level of professionalism needed across the board, the agents that are pushing the salaries up as well. So we're seeing a bunch of teams also in trouble. So I'd love if Red Bull could sponsor a team that has huge potential but is going to be in trouble in the next couple of years. But on the other hand, Red Bull is such a well-known brand in the kind of athletes that it sponsors. I think that their brand planning is quite clear as to, we want to showcase cool, kick-ass people that are winning. And so in that way, it's not a bad thing if they come in and sponsor a super team like FDJ, because they're going to look good straight away, and that's going to bring more eyes to the sport. And hopefully that those new eyes go, oh, this sport is cool, these athletes are cool, they're winning, who else exists? And then the whole sport can benefit from that. And then maybe some of those teams hopefully can benefit and get other sponsors. So obviously that's a long-term play. But yeah, I think that was just my thought process over the couple of minutes that Abby mentioned. Red Bull is like, what is the right play here for a sponsor like that in women's cycling?
I think like if you're Red Bull, you're thinking, I have Remco in my stable. Like, let's get the women's cycling equivalent. So like, I actually think it makes a lot of sense, and I think it's good, because I think then it will hopefully bring in and push other teams to look for non-endemic sponsors. Like Red Bull is a non-endemic sponsor to cycling. Like they're only very new on the block. So yeah, okay, they've been on Wout's helmet for a while, but like this is the first time they've become a title sponsor, like a front of jersey sponsor. So really, like this is new territory, and I would love them to come into women's cycling, because then I think like a rising tide lifts all boats, right? So then I think like then we're going to see more non-endemic brands coming into women's cycling. Like, I mean, what happens? Like, okay, Red Bull's in here. Let's bring in Monster, like Monster Energy. You know, like I think like there's a symbiosis there. Maybe Celsius comes on board. Like, you know, there's so many different brands that could potentially look at women's cycling as I mean, we know the stats that support women's sport for brands that invest in it. So I just think it opens the door up to way more opportunity.
You know who needs to sponsor a team is Starbucks. Cyclists love coffee.
Ew, I hate Starbucks coffee. Sorry.
Yeah, it's disgusting. It's disgusting.
But
That's
it's a
not
huge
the point.
brand.
It's a huge brand.
Yeah, I know.
I think the problem with Starbucks, they should have done this years ago, because they really have flopped, I feel, in Europe. Or is it not Europe, or is it Australia? Where did they flop? Australia?
Gloria Jane, Starbucks.
I mean, probably.
Yeah.
Like, Australia has the best coffee in the world.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and just shameless plug, best coffee in the world, to Guy, co-owned by Guy, who now listens to this podcast, is just down the road from me in Brunswick East, cafe called Joan. Shameless plug.
So we can do our live podcast there when we're all in Australia.
Correct. Yeah, we'll set it all up. Nix, my dog, is now very popular there. So.
I mean, like Starbucks would be great. I feel like Apple would be a good sponsor. Like they could really push the Apple Watch if they got sports, you know.
Guys, I still think like Barbara Gurishki, Baby J. Come on.
Yeah. I love that. Sorry.
Like I just did a deck for like Tudor watches, and I'm like, I could see a bit of Barbie with a Baby J on her wrist, you know.
Yeah. There's a lot of good brands. All right, back to Strade, getting us back on track. There was a lot.
Why would you do that, Abby?
Sorry, I just want to talk about how Kasia Niewiadoma almost broke the streak. She almost broke the Strade curse.
That was the devastating part of the day.
That was hard to watch.
Like she was third. She was second 3 years in a row. And then she was third another time. She's been in the top 10 almost every edition she's done, with like two exceptions. She's been in, I think, every single edition except maybe one. I mean, Strade is like her white whale, and she almost had it. And she was possibly one of the strongest. I think her and Elisa and Chabbey and Franzi were like four of the strongest riders on the day. We don't know like how Demi was actually going. We don't know how Pauline Ferrand-Perot was going. It was her first race, you know, like we have no idea where her form is at. And she had surgery in the off season, and the recovery took a little bit longer than she expected. So there's a chance that she's not exactly where she wants to be, but we don't know that now. And I mean, we're going to have to talk about what happened with the moto, although I feel that it was like not much could have been done once that mistake was made, and it did impact the race, but I don't think it's something we have to like really harp on. Like it
No,
happened.
it wasn't the rider's fault. The organization
Exactly,
they did the wrong thing.
Yeah, and there's nothing like that could have been done after the fact to take it back. Like it just happened. It's like the race continues, and it's possible we got an even better race out of it because that happened. Yeah. But like for Kasia, man, that I like, my heart just hurt, and Elisa as well. And Elisa not even finishing on the podium after the ride that she had. Like she had such an incredible day, and I think between the two of them, there are maybe like minuscule mistakes that were made, minuscule, that wouldn't have impacted the outcome. Elisa, when she went on that attack with Chabbey, she used a lot of energy, and I think maybe, possibly, if she hadn't done that, she would have been able to drop them on that final climb, maybe, or at least hold the front wheel, at least hold the front position.
Yeah.
But she just didn't have the kick when they came into those corners to be able to hold the front, and that is where you needed to be in the final corner to win the race. Like we saw the same thing with Kopecky and Van der Breggen. And for Kasia, like maybe if she'd been committed to the break with Elisa and Puck earlier in the day, maybe they would have got to the climb, the three of them, and it would have been a race between the three of them, and Puck didn't have the legs compared to the two of them on when it really counted at the end there. So it would have been between the two of them, and I won't lie, I would have been thrilled to see the two of them on the podium together. Was super happy with the podium we had, but like to watch Kasia lose again. She is in such good form though. Holy cow. Like this is a version of Kasia we've never seen before in the spring. Or at least we haven't seen since she was on like Rabobank.
Yeah, that was before my time.
Yeah. I think it's just Gracie articulated it so well that everyone in that front group used all their bullets, I think, at different times in that last part of the race. And they almost came in with, to my point about how much energy I felt like Francie Koch had used and Elise Chabbey and everything. But it all just comes down to that. You could see the desperation in those final corners, particularly from Kasia and Elisa. Like absolutely everything was on the line. And the other two there, we'll say, is the opportunists, had everything.
They would have called the day successful if they'd been on the podium and not on the top step.
Correct.
And for Elisa and Kasia, the top step was the only option. Yeah.
I mean, they had to you've got to. You go, Gracie.
Oh, I said no one got a free ride. Everyone attacked at certain points. Everyone rode in their little groups at certain points. Kasia may have spent a bit of extra energy, but she was trying to blunt the sword of those that had a bigger kick at the end. So she was trying to put herself still in an advantage. So she was spending energy to save it later. Elisa probably arguably did the most work out of those
I agree with that.
I think. So I think everyone, like Loren said too, like everyone played their cards and they all played them pretty well. And it was just, there wasn't much in it at the end.
Yeah, can we, because I'm going to do a bit of analysis of that last 1K, but I really would love to talk about the last 1K of the race, just really break it down between the four of us, because as Abby said, we've never seen that number of riders come to those corners in such a big group. So I'm really keen to hear from your guys' perspective, if we do from the base of what's the climb called? The last climb?
I've got it here. It's called the Via Santa Caterina.
So from the base of the Via Santa Caterina, Italians are going to come for me, to the finish, I'm keen to hear what you guys think. So
here, let me share with you the story that I wrote just after this happened.
Oh, which is brilliant. I read that this morning. That was very well written.
Abby's a very good writer Hope everyone knows
How
that.
nervous, though? Can we just talk about how nervous you were in that point? And I actually felt like Elisa Longo Borghini was too far back. Chabbey and her were floating at the back, and I was like, "What are you doing? There's too many riders for you to be that far back." Like, and I thought,
she was
oh
kind
God,
of like in the arrow. She wasn't part of the head of the arrow. Yeah.
And I thought, okay, Kasia surfing wheels looking good. She's right there at the pointy end of the arrow. And then Francie Koch again just accelerated and really opened it up on the, I don't know, the whole thing is called, I think, the Santa Caterina, but that really long stretch, which is, anyone who's done that race, it is horrific.
She went nuclear up there.
It's horrific, but
I love to see, like, starting from 1 kilometer to go, we had Franzi on the front, and that allowed Chabbey to really be in the wheels. At that point, Kasia and Elisa are still like kind of in the wind. They've got like half of themselves in the wind because they are marking each other. Like Elisa would have thought she was in the best possible position because she was behind Kasia, ready for any move that could have gone. The first person to pop from that group was Voss when Magdalene Valliere got on the front. And that was with 800 meters to go as they go under that arch right before the climb. That's when Voss popped, and Matt and I were chatting like as the race was happening, and he was like, "Oh my God, if Voss could win this." And I was like, "There's no chance." Like Voss of old, perhaps, but
she did the least amount of work, so she had a chance. But then I was surprised that she popped that early, actually, on that climb.
I think that she can't get up that climb with Elisa at this point in where she is in her career, what she focuses on as a rider, like to make it up that climb.
Either, but the way the race had gone, like Elisa had done so much work. When she touched that wheel on that third last climb and had to unclip, you were like, "Oh, she's tired."
Yeah. And then, 600 meters to go is when Franzi opened it up, and that's when Puck and Mags were really kind of spat out the back. That's when the two of them were out of contention. And based on the overhead shot, you also thought, okay, Chabbey's day is done. She could call this attempt a success. She had a great ride. But then as the camera pans out again, you see Elisa come to the front and really give it everything she has. I mean, at that point, like, if Elisa Longo-Borghini is going to win this race, she needs to be the one at the front making the pace as hard as she possibly can. And Kasia's job is only to hang on. And Elise Chabbey, like, the speed at which she came back up to them after being distanced was incredible. Like, she was going so hard. And with her coming around Franzi also gave Franzi that extra boost to be able to stick in with the four of them. The four of them came into the corners with Elisa leading, Kasia, then Chabbey, then Franzi, which is when they got to the 300 meters to go corner where it's a left-hander and Franzi tried to come in on the outside. Kasia and Elisa sensed that happening and closed the door to the barriers, but in doing that, all three of them slowed down. Chabbey came on the inside, which anyone who's ever done a crit ever knows that the inside line is the fastest line. So for Chabbey, like, she did her sprint after they came out of that left-hand corner before 200 meters to go. She came into the 200 meters to go on the front, and she'd won the race already. There, with 200 meters to go, there's no space. You can't come around.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Like, because I when I was watching the finish, I've watched it a few times. Did Elisa really fought for that first corner?
Mm-hmm.
Did she go too hard then?
I think she was hoping that she could hold it all the way, right, to the final corner.
You have to fight for every corner in that last bit.
Yeah. And to the point of Abby as well. So Elisa has been at the pointy end of this race multiple times, Kasia multiple times. They've never been in that situation. So I think everyone is just absolutely on the limit at that point. And I think for Elisa, she was thinking in her head, if I get over the top of the climb and I just keep driving it and I'm the first through the corners, then I can hold it to that final corner. And everyone knows once you hit that final corner, it's just out of the saddle, down. So yeah, it was just so beautifully timed with, Francie Koch coming up on the inside and then them just slight slowing down and then having to reassess and then Chabbey just whacking it slightly. I mean, the acceleration at that point from your legs wouldn't be that much, but it was enough just to get ahead, and then it's done by that point. I don't think anyone has any bullets left.
Even if we hadn't had all of the racing that happened up to that point, that 1 kilometer of racing would have still made this one of the best races that we've ever seen. But it also just so happened that we had a full banquet of racing before we even got to the dessert table. That was, to follow my analogy from the preview that Gracie mentioned, like the whole day was just incredible. But that final 800 meters, that in and of itself would have made the race great.
Yeah, I wouldn't, I'm harking back to the discussion I had yesterday with Guy, co-owner of the Jones Specialty Coffee down the road in Brunswick East. Phenomenal long black. They do a great job. Fantastic for doggo watching. It's across the road from Fleming Park. Great dog park. I was like, oh mate, did you watch the men's race? And he's like, nah. I mean, you know what happened. Women's racing, he's just like, he way prefers it. He's now a new listener to this pod because he just loves women's cycling and he just can't find enough stuff that covers it, because it is just that more exciting than the men.
Well, check out escapecollective.com. We've got 2 of the best. No, I'm just kidding. 1 of the best and myself covered.
And me, and maybe sometimes.
Maybe. No, just kidding.
I
hope.
I will go on a slight tangent here, just on the topic of women's cycling and why I think there's just so much potential for this sport to grow, particularly if we just want to bring across more fans that watch men's cycling. And there are some women who just watch men's cycling because they still don't really know about women's cycling, or they haven't known how to engage with this sport. My colleague in the workspace, he's by no means like a sports nut, but he's really enjoying women's cycling. And for him, he said now it's like, with this sport in particular, because he said it's not a skill-based sport like football. Okay, he's really into football. So for him, it's hard when he watches a women's game and a men's game, he's comparing the skill level and the speed. But with cycling, he said for him, it's, it is more exciting. He just thinks in general, the racing itself, but he's like, he doesn't notice the speed difference or anything like that. The tactics, the storylines, all of that is just as interesting, if not more, than the men's. And I thought that was a really interesting point when you're comparing skill-based sports compared to what would you say, endurance-based sports. I thought it was an interesting topic of discussion with someone who's not really super into it, but now he'll rather watch the women's race. It feels like he gets more out of it than the men's.
Yeah. You know what we need? We just need Coach Jackie to watch women's cycling.
I would love Coach Jackie to come on this podcast.
Fuck, could you imagine? That'd be
Let's
so
tag her. Erin, can we do some social media magic?
How do we reach her?
Come and join me and my dog in my dressing gown as we commentate, as we talk about women's cycling.
Surely we have 1 degrees of separation to her.
The amount of is she gay that she could play with the women's peloton is endless.
Oh, really? It is. I mean, look, she started with Kim LaCourte. She could go all the way through.
Oh my God, she did do Kim. I forgot that.
She would, if she ever did Kasia, she would come to an abrupt halt. Like, it would be like, no. She's definitely straight. So great. I love it.
We're dabbling in dangerous territory right now.
Sorry. Okay.
I was about to say something that I stopped.
Okay. Let's circle back to the sport itself. I think Strade was incredible. We have a lot to look forward to this spring, including Trofeo Alfredo Binda, which is one of my favorite races, and I will never shut up about why you should care about Trofeo Alfredo Binda, which is why I asked Elisa Longo Borghini, Mariana Voss, Soraya Paladin, and Elisa Balsamo to tell me what they love about Trofeo Alfredo Binda, which is going to be in a written piece coming on the site later this week. But
good work. Famous people.
I really love this race. Like, I want people to care about this race. I know it's not Gracie's favorite race, but I feel like it's really important. It's a very
Only because I
important race.
have bad memories from it.
Oh, I have
Okay,
bad memories.
your memories cannot be as bad as my bad memories when I was pulled from the race, but I didn't want my team car to see me, so I hid behind a bush as the caravan went by, and I was like crouching behind this bush, and a cat came over and sat in my lap.
Nick thought that was hilarious.
That was my worst memory of this race. A cat, yeah, it was like a stray cat just came over and was like, "Oh, I sit."
God, I have a similar story, except this was like me in under 19s when I just gotten into the QAS and I went to the Canberra Junior Tour. It was like a selection race for Worlds, and I pulled out of the race, and I was so embarrassed that I avoided like the QAS head coach. I somehow snuck into the SAG wagon. We had to go to the airport then after the race, and I like hid from the whole team in the gift shop until they boarded the plane. And I was just like hanging out there, and then like Carly Taylor came up to me and she's like, "Hey, so what are you doing over here?" And I'm like, "Just looking at magazines, for the past 2 hours."
I mean, I really should have taken a leaf out of it. Like, guys, I mean, yeah, I got my job as a domestique meant I got spat like
Before
usually
the
in the first couple. Yeah, before the laps. God, I wish I hid from my DS.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a great race to watch, though.
Yes, it is a really good race to watch. So watch it this weekend because, yeah, we've got the Holy Trinity. We're one in, and we still have Binda and Milan San Remo to go. So that's great. This weekend, we also had the Vuelta Extremadura, which was a fantastic 3 days of racing. And we do not have time to talk about it today, but huge shout out to Mackenzie Copeland, who just is really proving what she's capable of already this season. She had a great overall win, and yeah, just really excited to see what she does next. I would assume that we are going to see her in Binda because it's normally a race where teams will bring their younger riders or their climbers, because it's a race that can, well, as Balsamo said, it can go any which way. So yeah, I hope we get to see her in Binda because it was a huge win for her. And Extremadura is kind of becoming a pretty big race for riders who don't do Strada and stuff and have targets later on in the season. Before we wrap up the podcast, we also have to mention that the Cyclists Alliance put out a GoFundMe last week with a plea for urgent help funding the union. The Cyclists Alliance is co-founded by Gracie herself. In 2017, one of the only unions for women's cycling, the only standalone union for women's cycling. They are huge for younger riders, for continental and pro team riders, and world tour riders as well. They've done a ton of work when it comes to legal stuff with teams when riders aren't getting paid. They do a lot of support of riders when it comes to stuff like Red S and eating disorders and stuff like that. They just have the amount of resources that they have as an organization is massive. And this year, through the kind of turmoil of the cycling industry, they weren't able to receive funding from brand sponsors, which is how they usually get the bulk of their funding, is from brands like Zwift and Strava and Live. But a lot of those brands are having to really reel back their spending when it comes to projects like this year. I think it's no secret that the whole industry is really in trouble right now, and the Cyclist Alliance kind of took a hit because of that and didn't have a fallback plan. So at the moment, they are trying to raise money to keep the organization going. I spoke with them on the phone last week about why they are having this funding crisis, where the money would go, how their member funds go into play for them. They don't have enough members to fund the organization, and also they don't ask a lot of money from their members because they want there to be a fee to join, but they don't want it to be a huge ask of their members, especially for continental level riders and younger riders who don't have the means of World Tour and pro team riders that have mandatory salaries. So all of their money used to come from brands. If they're able to get to the funding goal that they have, which is 100K and is a huge ask, they are not even close at this point, 1 week in, then they'll be able to run as is for the next year and a bit and figure out a better way to function, figure out a better way to run that doesn't revolve around brands. But yeah, I think because the Cyclist Alliance is something that is very, very near and dear to all four of us here, that we can't not talk about it. And so I will put a link to the story that I wrote with Dina in the show notes. That also has a link to the GoFundMe. So if you're a fan of women's cycling, and you're a fan of the women themselves and the riders, and you want the sport to be better for the current peloton and the future, think about donating to their GoFundMe, because they do incredible work for the women's peloton.
Hear, hear.
Yep, agreed. Thanks for sharing that, Abby. It's really important. And yeah, it's important that there's an independent organization that represents women, that's not going to have the interests of people that don't have their interests at heart being in control. So one of the hardest things I found when I was involved in it is getting riders to understand why you would have that organization and why it matters, and that it's not just about you, it's about everyone. So it's always going to be hard like that. It's really hard to get athletes to think about things bigger than themselves, and that's just the truth. So yeah, this is important, and this is where the fans come in. So yeah, everyone that listens to this pod obviously cares about women's cycling, and if you could just spare a little bit, that would go a really long way for our sport. And
I asked Dina what was the one thing that they, like, as an organization, really want from or like going forward. And she said one of the things that they found it really difficult is getting World Tour riders to sign up for the Cyclist Alliance, because they think, oh, we don't need a union, we have salary. Like, the problems at the World Tour level aren't nearly as impactful to the mental health and long-term stability as it is for younger riders and continental level riders. But I know that there are World Tour riders who listen to this podcast, and I hope that you would consider joining the Cyclist Alliance, because it's not only about like their legal and stuff like that. It's also, for them, they want to create a community and a safe space for riders of all levels, and having World Tour riders involved in the Cyclist Alliance is huge for the longevity of the organization. So if you're a World Tour rider and you're not signed up for the Cyclist Alliance, I would plea for you to please consider joining. It's not that much of an expense for you. It's more the solidarity that is important for the whole peloton. And yeah, I know that there are teams that have banned their riders from joining, but I also know that there are riders who, am I allowed to say that? I just got some looks.
I think you should say that, because like it shocked me, like the fact that like having a union representation is the right of any employee. And for an employer to say, no, you can't join, that is, I mean, that is deplorable. That's against their right. It kind of highlights
the importance of why riders should join
100%, right?
In the first place. Yeah.
And this is where, like, I mean, you said something before, like, Gracie, I think you said, like, right, it's really hard for athletes to think beyond themselves, and you're completely right. But I think women's sport, and indeed the women's peloton, like, I think they have the potential to do that, to think about the collective and not just the individual. But it will take a definite shift, and it will take management who say you can't join this union to leave the sport, because I don't think that's got any place in this sport.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's it for us this week. We can wrap up the podcast with obsessions.
I think mine's pretty bloody obvious.
Yeah. Can I see your obsession? No.
Nixie,
there.
Nixie, come on.
There she is.
Come on. She's so cute.
Come on, what are you doing? You're usually up and about. She's real nippy. Come on. Oh,
No.
Oh, look at our little white feet.
See,
Yeah,
this
she's got
is
a
why
little
you need
claw.
to be watching this on YouTube.
Yeah, this is
content.
the reason.
Hold on, I'll just put the camera down next to her so you can see her properly.
Oh,
Hello. Oh,
Hey.
look at her. Cutie.
yeah, she's pretty cute. I won't lie.
That's
Yeah,
a pretty good obsession. I think you win for the week.
she's we got free. No, shoes are fine. We got free stuff at Bunnings because she was so cute. She made the lady cry.
Oh,
Well, I'm obsessed with the new Harry Styles album, and
Also, wait 1 second, Abby.
Yeah,
I don't know
tell me.
if you see this, but she's also obsessed with her reflection, just like her mum. So she's just checking herself out just then.
Well, this is great. You should just record the podcast like this from now on.
I think
and we'll
so.
get a ton of views.
Yeah.
Dog
No, the
has
new
strong
Harry's-
opinions on women's cycling.
For the podcast title. The new Harry Styles album is really good, and he did like start to finish. I can't. I'm distracted by the dog. He played it like front to back for Netflix in Manchester with like a sold out show, and I think that every artist should, when they drop a new album, also play a concert with the album front to back, because I feel that when I listened to the album, I was like, yeah, it's fine. I mean, I like it. It's not like my favorite thing ever, but I'm going to listen to it. And then when I watched the Netflix on Zwift while I was doing one of my Lizzie Deignan workouts, I watched it and I was like, wow, this is actually really good. And now I love the album. So I think that this should be like mandatory for artists.
isn't the new album very like housey? I heard.
It's a different production style than he's ever done before. Yeah, I mean, there are housey elements for sure.
Okay. That's a good segue. Probably to my obsession, because they spoke about his new album last week or the week before. Can't remember. Anyway, I've briefly probably touched on Big Small Talk, but I'm just so obsessed with them.
Oh, it's so good.
So obsessed with them. I want to be their friend. And
Hannah and I talk on Instagram sometimes.
Oh my.
No!
Yeah.
Why are you only just mentioning this?
I've been obsessed with them for 2 years.
Oh, I love them. I love them so much. And it's just, every Tuesday when their Big Small Talk drops, it's just one of my favorite things to listen to.
Did you listen to the big talk about the Iraq War?
Yes.
So good.
Part 1 and part 2. They just like, I've even gotten one of my expat friends in Bruges who works in politics. She's so into it. She's British, but works in Brussels. And she was looking for a new pod. And I was like, I think this will be sort of like up your alleyway. And she just loves it. So she's also obsessed now. But that's my obsession.
I think it's a really great format, the way that they do it. And I love how popular it's gotten. How much like it's really taken off, and how they're just really down to earth as well. Like they're funny, kind of like us.
Yeah,
like maybe we'll be invited to like podcast awards soon, guys. I mean, we don't do it for the accolades, but it would be cool. I mean, I'll just leave the puppy on. She can get us awards.
Yeah. So if you're not across it, I'm sure Aussies are pretty across it. Probably this audience as well. I would definitely look up Big Small Talk.
Yeah, just a good way to have some news content without watching the news. It's like they do the big topics. They're a bit left, but kind of center left. So they just have good takes on stuff without being too extreme. And they do pop culture as well. So you feel like you can have a little rest from the serious, hard stuff.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the latest one today. I always look forward to Tuesdays as well.
Me too. I was listening to it before the podcast. I haven't finished it yet though. But and there was something I wanted to bring up from what they were saying, but now like my mind is so scattered. Anyway.
Sorry. She's looking at herself in the mirror.
Yeah, they say that animals are like their owners.
Yeah,
They do. They do.
Yeah, they look like their owner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, she is my personality. Like, she runs up to other dogs in the park and she's like, "Ah, be my friend!" And they're like, "Dude, chill out."
That is you.
Yeah, it is you.
But we're going to go to puppy school tomorrow, aren't we?
That's cute.
Yeah, for the listeners, she had so much fun with a lab who just kept kind of not running away, but like just giving her distance. Where are you going? Today at the park, and she just kept being like, "Be my friend, be my friend, be my friend." And the pet lab was so patient for like 15 minutes. She allowed Nix to do that, and then eventually, she got so tired that we had to stop 3 times on the way home. As a Kelpie.
As a Kelpie. Wow.
I subscribed. I'm gonna listen.
Big small talk, brilliant.
Yeah, I'm excited for their discussion of Timothée Chalamet and his recent dog shit that he's stepped into with his. Oh, God, I don't know how people are like, "Oh my God, the guy that dates a Kardashian actually has no brain cells." Shocker.
We're not prejudiced.
I have a good take on that too.
Sorry, Gracie, do you have any obsessions?
I've always got lots of obsessions, but I'll stick with the podcast theme. I've been listening to another Aussie one, and it's called She's on the Money, and it's a finance podcast for women.
Yeah.
And one of my goals this year is to take my financial literacy to the next level. I think I've got an okay baseline, but I definitely want to learn more. And that's just been like a really nice entry point into being like learning lots of different stuff. So I've been enjoying them. And
is that Maddie Guest?
It's Victoria Devine, I think.
Okay.
I've heard multiple recommendations for this podcast.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting a lot out of it, and it's easy to listen to.
It's good. Also, I'm obsessed with your shirt.
I looked it up. I want one.
Yes, I want one too.
When I saw it,
backstory, please, Gracie.
So, I think people should. If you're not Australian, you might not get this shirt, but this word "difficult" became the buzzword the last few weeks because our Prime Minister called a former Australian of the Year, Grace Tame, difficult. The context of this is important, but it was taken very poorly and it kind of blew up. And this woman, Grace Tame, is a bit of an icon, but she's also a bit polarizing, you could say. But anyway, a lot of women in Australia just got really behind the word difficult and kind of owned it as a feminist word. So I'm not going to explain it further. You could go look it up if you want to know the full story. But when I saw this T-shirt come up by an Instagram, an account called Dangerous Female, they do a lot of great reporting on the news, especially things around women's health and safety and domestic violence against women and children. So this T-shirt, 100% of the proceeds go to charities that support women that are in situations of violence. So I just wanted to get behind Grace, because I'm a big fan of hers. Her book is amazing. That's worth a read. Another plug there. But I posted a story wearing this T-shirt and she liked it, so I screenshotted that.
Sorry. And they're unisex tees.
Yeah. Wait, we are 1 degree separate. I'm sorry. The Instagram comment made a light bulb go off in my head. We are 1 degree separation away from Coach Jackie, because Coach Jackie just followed Gretchen Powers on Instagram.
Voila. There we go. Make it happen, Abby.
Gretchen does photos for us at the Tour de France Femme.
That means Gretchen can slide into her DMs on our behalf and it won't go into her spam.
Yeah, but she's I would never ask her to do that. I don't know if she would.
Can I ask her?
Yeah.
I'll slide into her DMs. No, I'll do it.
I have slid into her DMs multiple times.
Me too.
We're all DMing her.
I haven't DM'd her yet.
I don't think I've done it yet.
Okay,
Yeah,
you can
Gracie
do it
and I
as
haven't.
well. The four
I mean-
of us are just gonna
Put a tick on
bombard.
my name too. Sometimes that helps because then it pushes
Yeah,
you
me too.
out of the spam folder.
Ah.
Okay. Well, watch this space. Okay.
Could you imagine
That's-
on this podcast?
It'd be super cool, but I just want her to go to the Tour de France femme. Like, I want her to experience the Tour de France femme. That's all I want. I don't even care if she listens to the podcast. I just want her to, like, I feel like when she goes, she's gonna, you can't go to the race and experience the vibes and not just be like, I am obsessed with women's cycling now. This is my life. This is
Yep.
my only calling in life.
It's true.
I thought it was mine too, and then I got a dog.
I think we should be saying that about our children.
No, this is right. Like when I said to you guys, I was like, I think I empathize. And then Abby was like, you can't crate train a baby.
You can't. I've tried. No, just kidding. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right.
Having
We're
kids is
done.
pretty cool, but having a pet is like so fun. So enjoy it.
No, I'm loving it so far.
You can take dogs on runs. If you try to take a baby on a run, it's like you have to stop a lot. No, like in a running stroller. Like they make running strollers for that.
Oh, I thought you literally mean move. God damn it!
You will be an athlete.
So I'm talking about crate training babies.
All right.
High
Well,
five.
thanks everyone so much for listening to this podcast. We'll be back next week to talk about Alfredo Binda. If you want a preview for Binda, check out the Wheel Talk newsletter out every Tuesday. And that's it. That's all we got. Hopefully you enjoyed this video version. Or if you're normal, the audio version. Because podcasts are an audio format. Okay.